for some reason, I keep having these images, and they come back to me when I was a kid. And my mom drew a face of one of the sort of the godfather of Serbian alphabet, basically, and I just saw that image come to life. It wasn't perfect, but it was good, and for a kid, it was amazing. And I just kind of, I guess, I liked that you can just be like creative like that. I don't know. For that image kind of got stuck.
Right.
Another reason why I feel like I've gone into creative is as a kid, I was also really, and this is again, my mom says, you really wanted to kind of get people together, and you want them to kind of like play, and if they need to leave, you kind of cried, and you just want people to be like having fun. Maybe you haven't, but you just wanted them to have fun. And so that kind of translated in me being creative, and then kind of loving music and becoming a DJ, and then throwing parties. And of course, part of the whole thing was promotions. So I kind of got into, so first it was this image that I've seen mom does, and then I was like, oh, well, I need to then communicate that somehow. I was also a big fan of magazines. I was like, I want to do magazines and then promotions, and then I somehow landed into design because of love for those details and aesthetics and how things relate to themselves in a sort of on a paper around us. And I don't know, yeah, that's kind of like, I feel, what sort of led me to design as a career.
Sure. And you mentioned that image that your mom drew being a Serbian alphabet or something like that.
Yeah.
Were you born in Serbia?
Yeah, I was born in Serbia.
Okay. What was life growing up in Serbia like?
It was okay until a certain point, and then it just kind of went, oh, this is Wild West.
Sure. Define Wild West.
Well, it was, I was a very small when things were kind of nice, and then the president Tito sort of passed away, and then things sort of started going downhill. And I think I was 4 at that point, and that might have been 89. And then there was this kind of famous break of Yugoslavia sort of that happened, and then civil war and all this sort of stuff. We weren't as affected personally, but yeah, people went to war and people died. Not the funny place. But then on the other side, other people who were just kind of caught amongst it might have just kind of partied a lot and did a lot of other things. Right. Because what else do you do?
Sort of like an act of rebellion or something like that.
I've heard, well, so and then I sort of left later on, but then I've heard from my friends who stayed there, is like, what do you do in a country that is kind of like affected by the war? You have sex. That's what you do. Right. It's a great pickup line. End of the days. It was very funny when they told me that. But I mean, yeah, it was tough. It's better now, but it was very tough there was not much opportunities. Everything is kind of driven by the politics and which party you're in, and it was just very, very difficult. And just growing up there and just kind of like, this is not my country. Why am I born here? It was very difficult. And our upbringing, it was also a little bit maybe different. Mom was an entrepreneur, and she ran a business, and my father was doing his own thing. Let's just describe it like that.
Sure. So, I mean, at what point did you move to Australia then?
Well, there was a point in our lives where I think because of the private sort of issues that we had as a family, and particularly my mom with her sort of partner and that whole thing, which could be another podcast in itself, even movie.
There you go. Idea for a movie.
Let's do a movie about it. She's gone through a lot of things. She was kind of almost at the end of the days, and she's like, I need to escape somewhere. And Australia kind of came up as an opportunity. So she came here, and she installed herself here, and then myself came a year or 2 years after, and then my sister. And that's a short version.
Sure. What did moving to Australia do for you, both personally and from a creative standpoint? Was it a culture shock when you moved from Serbia into Australia, and did that affect the way that you looked into design and creativity and all those other facets?
I struggled to understand people here. I didn't understand what Australian was. I was like, it's English. I know English. But for me, what it represented is opportunity. And this is again your first question. When I get that set on certain things in my life, I just kind of try to give it a shot, good shot. Now, Serbia for me, of course, I was born there, had a great time, great friends. I tried to do things. Operating system of that country is a different to my personal operating system, my iOS. So when I came here, I was like, okay, well, now there's opportunity for me to do what I want, the way I want it. And I'm going to give myself opportunity to be who I am. Because over there, I couldn't. There's all these difficulties around. So I wanted to go to university. I applied, got through second time, not the first time, which is okay.
That's all right.
Got to work for a year. And then I got into design because I wanted to go into design. Now my family could not send me to, well, there wasn't actually design school in Serbia. It was kind of like a fine arts type of thing. And it was too expensive, and we couldn't go. I couldn't go, and I was not in a capital city, and all that was happening in a capital city. So now I was like, well, stuff all this. I'm gonna do this, no matter how much it costs. This is my life. This is what I want to do. I want to give it a shot, see if I'm good at it, and that's what it represented to me. It was a great opportunity to do what I want with my life.
And you studied communications from Swinburne University, is that right?
Yeah, it's called they did that year. They changed it into it's a graphic design, visual communication.
Okay, sure, yeah, that's a more accurate description.
Yes. Basically, it's a graphic design. We did get put through an interesting sort of I think model where the first year we were surrounded by a lot of different creative people. So it wasn't just designers. It was product designers, interior designers, graphic designers, multimedia. Back then it was multimedia design. So we were all kind of like together. And then from second year, you would kind of go into whatever you feel is better for you. And I kind of stuck with graphic design. But yeah, that was Swinburne.
Sure.
Amazing.
And you've had a crazy career since then. We did a bit of research into the past things you've done, and it seems like you've had also quite an international career. So graphic designer at Studio Ecuador, Equator.
Yeah.
Yep. Whoops. In Melbourne, you became a freelance graphic designer with Puma, Sony PS2, BBC in London.
Yeah.
Went back to Serbia to be the art director at Leo Burnett Advertising, and you've since gone through a bunch of different careers. What led you down the path of such an international career after landing in Melbourne? Why didn't you just stay in one place?
I love my uni days, but I've gone into uni after, well, usually you go to uni, I don't know whatever year of age you are, like 17, 18.
Yep.
Something
Around
like that.
There, yeah.
I was like 20 when I got, because I missed a few things and I came here and I was feeling a little bit older. I mean, there's people going to uni with 40 and something like that, which is okay. For me, that was not how I kind of thought universities are. You kind of like go anyway. So I was a little bit late there. And when I just finished it, I loved it, but I was poor. I just wanted to make some money.
Sure.
I
Yeah,
just
I
wanted-
mean, basic human motivation. Sure.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, cool. I got this. Now I need to get some money so I can actually live and do the things that other things that I want to do. And I just kind of had this in my head, like, I need to go away from Australia. I need to go somewhere else. I need to travel. I want to travel. I haven't traveled since I came here, and it's been like 8 years. Oh my God, like I need to do something with that. So as you can notice, I'm very impulsive and I make decisions very irrationally, or I kind of just go, well, I need to do this, and then I go off and do it. I feel like this, let's do this. And I've just kind of gone, okay, well, I know English. How about I base myself in France? It's not the best idea.
It doesn't quite work. Yep.
And I was like, yeah, I have relatives there because I don't have anyone in England. But I somehow managed to find a friend of a friend. And then I went to London with £1,000.
Wow.
That's all, not knowing anyone. And I stayed there for 2 years.
Wow.
And I got to work with these companies. And it was a very interesting place and time, and I've learned a lot. I've actually learned in London to kind of respect the money and what sort of time equals money means, because I didn't kind of get that here, didn't get that sort of in Serbia, definitely, but in London kind of it felt like the air you breathe is costing you money.
Right.
You know, you leave the door, you already kind of put some money out. You know, it's just kind of, you just feel like it's costing you everywhere you turn. And then you kind of understand, oh, well, depending how I behave, I could kind of earn or not earn sort of, anyway, it was a really great experience for me. And then, going back to Serbia for 3 months and then staying 3 years. And then missing Melbourne, because I was like, I just wanted to go for 2 years, but it's 5 years now, and the global economic sort of were not sort of working out at that time, and there was a recession, but it wasn't in Australia, and it was a perfect timing for me to come back.
Sure. Yeah.
So that was my little venture into like, I need some freedom. I need to go travel and then figure out how can I, while I'm traveling, still work and work for some interesting clients and companies and have fun.
So you ended up back here in Australia and you took up the role as a senior art director at Helsinki Agency.
Yeah.
And during that time, that was when you came up with the idea of PawsFest. What was your original idea behind PawsFest, and what was the inspiration for you to go, hey, there's a need in the market to do this, and I'm going to do it?
The original need was, again, it was very personal. It was my need. Because I went for 5 years, I wasn't here. I lost a lot of connections, a lot of people. Some people, you kind of go to a university that's international, and some of them go back to their countries. Others get married. They do different things with their life. So I came back. I was like, where's my friends? What's going on? And so there was the idea that, how about we start kind of getting people with similar groups and interests, meetups, these sort of time around together, and we just kind of spend some time and talk and drink, and hopefully some things happen from there. So there was no meetups back then, but again, the lens that I was looking things at, maybe because I was coming from Europe at that after being there, is like, well, I'm a creative, love design, I love animation, I love interactivity, I love gaming, I love all this stuff. How about all these people come together, and the future is interactive, I think, so that was the kind of idea, and the original meaning of pause was moment in time when we get together.
Right.
And it still is. We come together to share what we've built, what we created, and celebrate that success.
And it was initially a one night interactive, immersive, and sort of visual event, right? It didn't start out as this big festival thing.
No, you did your homework well.
Special shout out to our producer, Joe Harrington, who's at the side here too.
Amazing. No, Pause was meant to be a party.
Sure.
It was going to be one night party where I was actually inspired by some other sort of exhibition, Sydney Biennale that I went, some Russian sort of artists. They kind of had projections on every wall. And I'm like, I want that. I want that kind of a party. It's interactive, it's immersive, and it was meant to be at Docklands. And we got the massive space, and we were like, cool, where's all this money? How am I gonna build this sort of stuff? I mean, as you can see, sometimes my passions are kind of like beyond the reality. And then I tried to bend the reality to fit to my passion. But at that point we were like, no, we thank you for giving us this venue, but we'll just spend all this money that we have into marketing and try to find other smaller venues that could let us sort of deliver it. But it was meant to be one night, correct, interactive, visual stimulation sort of party that people come and experience, and that's done. But no.
So at what point did it really change from a one night event to this massive festival that we know it today? I mean, today you rent out Fed Square and all these different large locations to do Pause Fest, but what was the turning point?
What a turning point is like, as I've learned that some things cannot happen, then I adjust my thinking and actions accordingly. So we were like, okay, cool. We can have this massive Docklands sort of shed. Cool. We need 100K for this. Do we have it? No, we have 20. What can we do with this? And my partner and co-founder at the time, he didn't have any sort of investments. So it was it's mainly just kind of coming from my savings. And I was like, okay, well, cool. We'll spend this money. Sure, I'll spend all that on the fun. But let's just think about it, where we spend it so it actually makes sense. And then we decided, like, well, that will not make sense. But if we go and find venues that we can still get that are smaller in a city, and put some sort of a content in there, maybe that will make more sense. And we just kind of advertise and spend all this money on advertising. So yeah, it just kind of pivoted right then and then. It wasn't logical to stretch that much. And then we were just kind of like, okay, well, it can't be one day party. How about 7 days?
Right. Interesting. So doing it over time was actually the more cost-effective way of doing it rather than...
Yeah. So it was a cost-effective, and then it kind of pushed us into thinking, okay, well, we didn't think this through, obviously. It was meant to be one night. It didn't. Then it turned into a 7 days event. Okay, where's the content? Who are our people? We don't know. So we then gone, okay, well, we need to find this out. Let's just get on with that.
Yeah.
And well, I'd say the first 3 years of Pause existence was kind of like, as a kid, trying to figure out who you are, like, and how does this world relate to you, and who are you talking to, and what's your audience, and who are you? What's your identity? We did set something at the beginning, but we just didn't know what that was meant to be. It was. We knew we were gathering amazing creative people that created amazing things, and we got some amazing speakers. Even in a second year, creative director of Vimeo flew over, and some amazing people from Germany that created sort of cameras that kind of stand on a robotic arms, the first in the world. They came here, and we were like, oh my god. Well, that was another thing. We got such an interesting traction with the market, and a lot of global as well companies wanted to come here because we were representing this new kind of futuristic vibe of business. Hey, let's innovate and let's do things differently. Because that was what we kind of wanted to do, but we didn't know how to make a business out of it.
And at that point, was there no one else in Australia doing what POSFest was doing?
I don't think there was. And I don't think there is now either, but it's more that we put things together in a way that they would probably usually stand alone.
Sure, yeah.
So there are things out there that are similar, and there are obviously elements of that they're standalone, but we kind of somehow package it and curate it in a way that, well, here's this. It's a pack. And it's, yeah, we spend a lot of time and care on that these days. Back then, again, putting together interactivity, motion graphics, animation, visual effects, gaming, all that was not really the thing. I think that's what kind of sparked the interest of the people here. Is like, oh, there's something new, something different. We were talking to them, and we were also talking to the demographics that haven't been talked to. No one was talking to and these, because we started with a lot of animation, visual effects, and motion graphics, and these guys are super passionate about what they do, about their craft. They're super geeky too, because it's a very technical kind of space, and I had no clue about it. This is another thing. I got stuck because I love animation. I have no idea how to make it myself. But then I started to understand these people and who they are and what they love, and started bringing a lot more speakers that love the craft, love the sort of making. And so we kind of like really, that was our beginning. We were into craft, we were into sort of the passion of making things, and how do you make it the best that you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And how would you initially reach out to these people in the early days? Because, in the early days, you're still trying to make a brand out of POSFest, and, people might not know it as well as they do today. How did you reach out to those initial content creators or initial thought leaders and to get them onto the stage at POSFest?
Easy.
Easy for you.
How did I come here? Easy. You just reach out. It's like, hey, I'm here.
Was it as simple as that?
It's easy like that. Yeah.
Right. Wow.
So I've maybe been lucky that because I'm a designer and I love to present things in a nice way, and everything was so presentable even from the very first event, and people thought that's the thing. Like if you present yourself well and you have amazing, well, back then, we thought we had an amazing website and we had all these sort of things, and it was looking great. There was a good branding. There's all this kind of people. There's a lot of buzz, and people look at it. I was like, yeah, kind of get that. If that's sort of first gut feeling that you get from it, and then you speak to the people, and well, with some, reaching to some people was easy, but reaching to some other sort of companies was terribly hard. So not everything is easy, but what I've done over the years is, well, it's a long game. Yeah, a festival is a long game. It's like it's there's no short win. And so like, okay, cool, you can't come this year. How about next year or the year after or 3 years after? I'm not going to stop.
So you were confident that you were going to do it year after year, even in those early days?
Well, I was like, this needs to happen. This needs to succeed. And in the early days, I was working in advertising, the Helsinki that you mentioned, for 4 years before I actually left the place and started kind of living of the festival itself, and that's been now I think 5 years ago. And so I had a kind of this safety net of, well, I'm working and this is my passion. I'm spending a lot of money on this passion project, which is kind of okay, but once you deep into something, you kind of like, well, you can walk away from it, but you then also go, well, I've invested a lot of money and a lot of time. I don't want to see it dissolve. And so you kind of keep on putting, well, this is me. You keep putting more money, more time until it goes somewhere. And you don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but that's the feeling. That's the trap.
Was there a turning point where you kind of went, okay, now I'm ready to get out of Helsinki to do this full time? Was there a catalyst for that?
Yeah, there was. But there was a couple of things. First, they kicked me out because we don't need design anymore.
Yep.
You know, in our company, we don't kind of care about, well, we don't have enough design projects for you. You're too creative for us. And I'm like, okay, all right. But at the same time, I was waiting for City of Melbourne to give us this grant that we applied for. And it was literally the same week.
Wow, okay.
It was that intense.
So the stars aligned.
Yeah, and we didn't get the grant.
Right.
I got kicked out. And at the same time, I had people working at my home while I was going to work. And so it was this crazy sort of thing. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I just needed that little nudge, just a little bunch of money to just have a little bit more security. Cause you're going to bridge this gap between this side and that side. And I just needed that. And it wasn't there. And I'm like, okay, this is end of the days.
It's hard.
It's hard. And I had to do some freelance work. And luckily, I got some pretty good paid freelance work at a time to help me bridge that sort of gap. And I did, and sort of manage the year after. And I know when that gap is, and it is around this time. This time in the year when this gap, it's like, well, you haven't sold enough tickets, you haven't been paid by the sponsors enough, then you kind of need this in between. It's a different in the last few years for us, but in the early days, that's kind of the gap. And after first year, maybe did second year a little bit of freelancing, it was okay. But I wanted to jump, and then just kind of
you got thrown off a cliff.
Yeah, I got thrown.
No soft landing, no parachute. Just kind of got pushed off.
Yeah, I was like, I'm ready just now, and then just and it's flat down.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, cool, right? Let's get up and keep walking.
That's awesome. And you were quoted somewhere, I'm not sure where. You said, "We have a year to create it, and if you get it wrong, we're dead." And that sort of highlights the pressure you were under while you were building POSFest. And, you mentioned at the start of the podcast, or before we started this podcast, that it was all about passion, the word passion. What about POSFest brings out that passion in you? Is it still the same as in the early days when you just wanted to, get people together to celebrate creative design? Or has it evolved since then?
It became more complex. Yeah. So I'm still a lot into bringing people together. I'm just excited to see what people can create when they kind of bump into each other. That's my interest. Then there's a lot of other things curating amazing event and engineering it in a way that people kind of consume it in a way that, again, will bring them value. That will sort of meet someone that will bring them a step higher in life, sure, in business. But then also from the project, it's a pretty huge project a year. I get paid once a year, so imagine that. Just budgeting for that. and then budgeting for the entire project, and just kind of, I'm also very excited. And although I'm a designer, I'm actually stuck in spreadsheets right now, and I actually kind of like it in a way, which is bizarre. I never thought I'll do that, but I'm kind of having my hands like that because it's a full year, and then we have to develop a process and milestones of what we need to hit throughout the year. And so I'm very excited to see things unfold.
Right.
And it's bizarre. And then I see how things kind of progress and how the project is delivered, and what happens when you bring the new branding, and what happens when you sort of announce the speakers, and what happens when you kind of have a launch and awards, and then how people behave at the event, and how, like, I'm kind of really excited about all that, just the experience,
Right,
of bringing the entire thing, and obviously making sure that everything is ticking where it needs to, because then it'll cause things to move in a way that you might not want to. Kind of,
yeah, it's all about the journey.
it's all about the journey, and then every single thing on it needs to be kind of like hitting its spot, so that it all sort of comes and goes, and so hopefully hits that sort of target that we sort of wanted.
And that's a great segue to my next question, which is, for people that don't know, what's involved in putting a festival together? It seems like there's a billion moving parts to get this thing running smoothly. What does it look like from a logistics point of view to organize a festival?
Well, I'd say you need to start small to kind of get the small thing, and then just make it complex and complex. I was like, it's just things that I do in my life. It's like, oh, let's just do it. Like, it's possible. It's humans can do this. Of course we can do it too. Like, it's not like going to Mars.
Yep.
Well, because originally I had one stage, and it was like 6 to 8, maybe 12 speakers, and then I was like, the year after, I'm like, well, how about we do 3 stages?
So you just add on more and more as you go.
And just and I'm like, and what's the logistical complication around that? Well, just 3 times this whole thing, but it's easy. Like, look at this paper, is just there. You just need to kind of like take care of this over there. But we'll do all these spreadsheets. It's a little bit of naivety, and a little bit too kind of like, and pushing things, always pushing things, and then kind of like, okay, well, we want to do this, but how do we do it? We kind of then try to figure out after.
Sure.
A lot of things, sometimes it's a great thing, but sometimes it might kind of hit you in the sort of face.
Yep.
That you sort of you jump first and then decide what happens after.
So we understand that Pause runs in a smaller team than most festivals of a similar size, and that, to me, speaks to the importance of having the right team in place. How do you find the right people to come along with you on this journey and to help out with Pause Fest?
Yeah, this could be another podcast session in itself. It is very hard. I'm not gonna pretend it is amazing, because we are so small. We're independent. We are not financed by anyone apart from what we sort of earn from the event. We haven't got to the point, even still after 10 years, where we can actually afford a proper team. So, I mean, I got to do 10 different jobs and all this sort of stuff. And I'm sort of okay with that, but it does put a lot of pressure on a team and the people. And even for what we can, sort of resources that we have, it's a lot. It's a lot to bring. So finding someone who is really passionate about bringing people together, working in a super stressful environments, which are festival or advertising, festivals even more, and then kind of like being able to execute, it's super hard. I wish I have an answer, How do you do it? Because I change team every year.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it is. I have not found a stable team every year. It's because we we were not employing full time full year. It's just very seasonal. And what people think about, it's a cool festival. Yes, it is. It's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of logistics, a lot of details, a lot of things, and they might find that that's not for them after all, or they've ticked it off their list and they move forward. Or they just come for contacts and good times. I've got all sorts of sort of stories, and some not so nice ones and some really good ones. But it is very difficult. And over the years, I understand how much the great team can actually help you move forward and how it can actually set you back.
Well, this just highlights the pressure that you're personally under as a founder and CEO of POSFest to make this thing work. And I guess the question there is, how do you stay so calm under that immense pressure? What do you do to have a clear head to actually make this thing work, even when your team's changing year on year, and as all the logistics and variables change around you?
Yeah. I can't even describe to people how much pressure and stress and there is in this, especially for because I don't have co-founders anymore, so it's just me. I don't have anyone to share things with, load or stress or happiness and joy and all this sort of stuff. I do have a team. The way I do it, I do have a great team that is not permanent. These are the guys that we call programmers, and there's such an amazing joy to work with, and they help with the program a lot. And some of them been around for anywhere 5 and 7 years. So some of them stuck around for a while, but they're not employed by us. They come in and help out, tell us their opinions, and vote on who should be speaking, and they help out on a day, but there's someone that needs to be in the office to actually execute all these sort of things. So that's a tremendous help. How do you stay sort of very calm? I don't know. I can't even explain to people how insanely stressful it is. And then you don't have just one stressful situation at the time. Sometimes it happens that you have multiple. It could be 3 or 5 at various sort of categories of insanity. For example, this year we had sort of issues with the venue. We had to move from one venue, then we got to that venue. We were super happy after 5 months of sort of figuring out things and signing contracts, then to figure out that we have to move to another venue.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And yeah, and so stuff that kind of goes with that, and that's just happening in the background, whilst you kind of doing a few other things and chasing 200 different people. I don't know. I do go to yoga. I do go to spa and saunas and massages, and I do everything I need to do to calm myself and my body. Go for walks and deep breaths. For some reason, I can't do meditation.
Too many thoughts in your head.
Well, I do it through yoga or swimming.
Yeah.
But sometimes I've done it when I go to a holiday, for example. I'll sit on a beach and I can just sort of do a little bit of meditation, but I can't do it here for some reason. I can't get into the rhythm of it. But you do everything you need to do to calm yourself, for sure.
And looking forward into the future of Pause and into the future of yourself in Pause, have you thought about ways to reduce that stress by growing the team or just putting together new processes in place or anything like that?
Yeah, every year I start with a sort of like all these amazing things I'm going to fix. And it just doesn't work like that. Some things work and other things just don't. And moving forward, yes, we would love to have a few more people. We would love to have a pretty um, solid team and support. But knowing what takes to build that, it is more people attending, more sponsors sort of sponsoring. That's going to help us be more sustainable and kind of actually have a normal sort of more normal, let's say more normal, because it's not, nothing is normal with festival, but let's say more normal sort of more sort of normal sort of team that can sort of deliver the next level
Sure.
of the event.
You said once that pause is never static. It's ever changing. It reflects the current culture, society, and the fast-paced industry we live in. What's your creative process to keep pause fresh year on year? It seems easy to just go back and replicate the same thing from last year, but how do you evolve it over time?
Yeah, well, this is another thing that we kind of that I've set. If we want to be current, we need to be cutting edge. We need to be delivering the new things year on year. The easiest thing would be to have a cookie cutter event, and this is how it runs, and this is what we're going to deliver, and sort of you just sort of change some speakers. But to me, that's not what we are about. I kind of set some different kind of standards and different kind of event that I wanted this to be, and we try to outdo ourselves every year. How do we do it? Well, we kind of like really need to see what's going around you in the industry. We do have people applying to speak, so we get to see what their ideas are, who are they, where they're from. There's this amazing team that I have. We sit together and we read every single entry.
Wow.
Yeah, that we got over 800 entries this year for probably just around 200 that we could cater for.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to read. And what we're really looking when sort of curating is this ideas that you can't Google, something that it's special, something that's engaging. Then we look where it's from, who is it, can they deliver it, is this a sales pitch, how valuable would this be to our audience, what they can get from it. And so, and we also, I mean, we like repeating sometimes speakers, but it is a little bit harder to get the speaking slot because we do really think about 5 steps. What is this topic? Is this relevant? Who's it from? Can they deliver it? Are they engaging? Can people learn from it? It's not just like, oh, here's someone, they want to speak, let's do it. But we also want to celebrate those that actually have done amazing job here. And there's been more and more sort of in Australia, amazing startups and companies that do a great job. And I go around the world hunting for some speakers and make friends and kind of try to invite them to Australia. It's a long flight, so I do what I can, and a lot of them want to come, but some just cannot. Or, you know, we have some companies like Google, for example, they want to keep sending us people, which is amazing.
I love the way you described it. Things you can't Google.
Yeah,
that's a great description of why anyone should go to a festival.
Yeah, because for us is like, we want you to teach you skills. We want you to hear something that you haven't heard before. We want you to, when you come, so this is why we are not, I feel, not the same. We don't want people or speakers that have their sort of, you know, keynotes ready to roll out. We don't also pay for speakers, you know.
Yeah.
Some people criticize us for us, but we are a community festival. We are not in a business of paying someone's fees to come and speak, unfortunately, and we can't afford it. We are, again, a festival, a community that's helping everyone else be better at what they are, who they are, and their businesses. And if you fit within that and you want to sort of come and join us and help others, that's what we kind of value.
That's great. That feeling of communal, that feeling of communal togetherness, that feeling of helping your fellow attendee. That's not something you can get from just watching a YouTube video of someone speaking about a particular topic or anything. You have to be there in person to really be a part of that.
Yeah. Plus, we are also encouraging 100% all of our internationals to stay all 3 days, and they do, and engage with the audiences.
Incredible.
They also go to the sessions. They also go to workshops, and all other speakers stay. We don't want parachutes. I mean, one of the reasons why we changed the ticket types, and we don't have any more 1 days and 2 days, any of that, because we want people to engage. It's all about the engagement in the end for us, because we created this amazing space, and we believe that if you come to speak to people, that's what magic happens.
Awesome. So you held the 2020 program launch here at YBF Ventures in our ballroom. It was an awesome night, and you did a really cool thing, the Pause Awards. Talk to us about the Pause Awards. What's it all about?
I wanted to have awards from the sort of first year, but awards a great money-making mechanism, involves a lot of work too. And so again, put my hat on. It's like, how do I make this easy for us so we don't add another mountain of work? And we've been thinking, this is actually literally going for years. And then last year we were like, okay, to cut all these masses of work, how about we just find companies that we see that are doing extremely well, and we just award them. And we just cut this like nominations and payments and things, and we just sort of link it to the festivals. Like, we would love to recognize you for being awesome, and we'll give you a couple of tickets to come to Pause, and we'll give you the trophy. And yeah, let's make the trophy kind of really nice, so it's not a sticky and pointy kind of thing. Let's make it a rainbow, because people love rainbows. And that's how it happened, basically. So the last year was the first year when we rolled it out. And it's a kind of a split mix of emotions where people are like, oh, wow, amazing, love it. And some people are like, who nominated me? What's going on? And some other people are like, is this a scam? I'm not paying anything. It's like, no, we're just giving you this because we think you're amazing.
Yep.
And so every year there's like maybe one or two that they're like, I'm not touching anything. I've never said it. We're like, okay, cool. We'll just send it to you, and you'll
just mail it to them.
Mail it. Yeah, that's the stuff. We're just kind of, we're a festival of giving. So we love to give good vibes and congratulate the people. And we have some pretty amazing names for the awards. It's not just standard awards. The Hammer Award for nailing it. I wish I've done that award, or Big Mouth for media cut through.
Yep.
But also, the community champions and stuff like that. All of the awards are based on impact in the community and the business and the industry. So we don't really have awards for beautiful, this, best of that, and we don't really care. We really care about what is your impact on a society, on a community, and how can you help others.
And one of our previous guests from the podcast, Dom Pim from Upbank, actually won an award during the Pause Awards as well, which is really cool. He seemed pretty excited about that.
Dom is actually doing incredible work. And I went to his first year birthday, and I thought it was second year birthday. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys done a lot of work in 1 year. It feels like two. He's just amazing. Yeah, what the product that he's built, and the culture and what they're doing is very, very applaudable.
That's awesome. So looking forward, 2020. What does Pause 2020 look like? And, who are you looking forward to seeing on stage for Pause 2020?
That's a very difficult question for me.
You can share whatever you can share.
Well, it's not that. It's just like there's a lot going on, and I kind of get my head into it sort of a few weeks before. But most likely, what's going to happen is I'm going to miss every single presentation. I actually do not go to almost anything. I just pop in and out from keynotes. I could be introducing a speaker here and there. I'll be doing probably my own things in Facebook Lives and stuff like that, and so I don't really get to see a lot. But I am excited about Adidas is coming to pause this year.
Very cool.
Yeah, the global head of sports science.
Wow.
Yeah, Paul is going to be talking about all the innovations that they do at Adidas, and creating the shoe from water plastic and water dissolvable shoe and all that kind of stuff, which is very exciting for us. Then on the other sort of side, there's Harley. He's done rebranding for most of tech companies like Dropbox and Slack, and there's a long list of them. So just kind of really understanding how he built his company from 2014, kind of like a bedroom, into like 5 years later, like rebranding every major tech
That's incredible.
kind of company. It's amazing. And then having sort of offices in a few different cities, from Reykjavik to San Francisco, and there's some companies that we haven't had before. I'd say panels this year are phenomenal in terms of the caliber of speakers and seniority and companies. I can just maybe leak a couple of them because we haven't announced anything yet, but it's coming in November. Patagonia will be at Pause, and Mercedes-Benz and MasterCard, and there's some really interesting conversations, and we're going to have two rooms for workshops this year. And then that's very exciting for us, because that's where practical sort of skills, and they're going to be smaller, 30 people, not more than that. And what's also super exciting for me, actually, I feel like, because what happened up until this point is we were curating the conferences as 3 different stages firing off at the same time, but 200 speakers, and kind of we've sort of done that, and I'm like, this is kind of done. Now we're moving to Tech Garden Expo, and in there's going to be a startup stage. So now what I'm currently excited about is like curating that. There's going to be startup pitches there, different formats. There's this new format that we sort of playing with called walking talks. It started this year at the event with Sergio doing waking walks, which is basically a speaker taking about 10 people outside for talks. And it's kind of like you're talking and you're walking and discussing ideas and that sort of stuff. So we love that format, and we're going to sort of work on that and get some of the big speakers to extend their conversations into more walking talks, and maybe kind of put some new conversations in. So there's the new bunch of programming things that need to happen still for us, and that's sort of, I think, very exciting.
Very cool.
For me.
Last question for you before we wrap up this podcast. If people wanted to find out more about Pause, whether it's being a speaker or being a sponsor or even attending, what should they do?
They should definitely go to our website, pausefest.com.au. We've this year in particular created a few more pages that could help them understand why they should attend, who's coming, what other people that attended said, There's a lot of resources online and on our socials. They could stay up to date with everything. Our newsletter. There's a lot of videos like from here. Today, actually, we just released a video from a launch party here.
Cool. Awesome.
You guys did it as well, but we finally sort of did our version as well. Amazing. So there's a bunch of these things. There's a lot of other podcasts that we filmed from this year's event that kind of hit every month, and yeah, if you're thinking you don't know what sort of tickets are you, there's also a page for every ticket that'll explain what you're going to get from it and why you should attend. Because again, every ticket is geared towards different type of personality with different kinds of behaviors and different types of expectations. Put it that way. We don't have ticket. Oh, go to event. Yeah, we kind of want to really bespokely build this ticket just for you. So if you're a leader, you're gonna get a little bit more. If you're explorer and just kind of want to check it out, you're gonna get a little less, but still kind of enjoy the entire event. And if you're startup, creator ticket is for you, but you need to apply. We need to know that you're really a startup, and because it's a drastically sort of reduced rate, we want to sort of help you out, come into conversations with all these other businesses and brands and that would help your business, and investors that will help your business grow. So there's a different kinds of tickets, and there's explanation online about all of those, who should, why, and how. It's all there.
Awesome. Well, thank you, George. This has been a great podcast. Loved learning more about you, about your creative process, and about Pause. So thanks again for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.